How's it going, everyone? DFS Phenom here. If you like my content, go ahead, subscribe to my channel. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at this Sunday slate for Week 5 of the NFL DFS. There's quite a few quarterbacks I like in this slate this week. First one I want to point out is Patrick Mahomes. I've been on this guy a lot lately, and he hasn't really proved me wrong. Last week against Denver, he threw for 304 yards, and he had one rushing touchdown and one passing touchdown. This Denver defense was supposed to be a pretty good defense that he faced. They had a good pass rush, and he still got the job done. I really like watching him as far as when the plays would break down, he would extend it and actually make a play happen. I look for him to do the same thing against Jacksonville. That's giving up 300 yards passing, 100 yards rushing, and 28 points per game. I look for them to have better coverage on the receivers this week, and for Mahomes to make plays with his legs and make plays by extending the play and making that big play happen. So keep an eye on him. Again, he hasn't really let me down the last 4 weeks, so I don't project him to do it this week against Jacksonville. So I'm going to go ahead and draft him. But I want to go back and look at a few more quarterbacks that I like in this slate. They've been all priced pretty well. I'm actually surprised that Patrick Mahomes is only $6,200. Another one I want to look at is Matt Ryan going up against his Pittsburgh defense that hasn't been playing that well throughout the 4 weeks. Last week against Cincinnati, Ryan put up 419 yards, and he got 3 touchdowns. I really like him in this position as well. He's only 6,100. It opens up a lot of value as far as your salary cap. And if you look at what he's done the last 4 weeks, 31, 43, and 32. So at this price point, he's getting you about 5 times your value. So I would check him out as well. Another one I like is Jared Goff. He's at 6,500. And if you look at what he's done the last 4 weeks, he put up 465 yards against Minnesota, 354 yards against the Chargers, another 354-yard game against Arizona, and his lowest game was Week 1 with 233 yards. He has 11 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in 4 games. I look for him to do the same against Seattle. I really like his price point. Is only 6,500, and he can get you DraftKings points as well. He's getting you about 5 times, roughly. 28 points for the season. So he's another one to look at. But if I had to pick out of the 3, I'm going to go with Mahomes. He's the cheapest, and he's getting you the same productivity. Next one I want to look at is running back. Everyone is going to probably be on Todd Gurley. He's 9,400, so he's getting you 3 times the value. I really like him against Seattle. If you look what he's done the last 3 weeks against Minnesota, he only had 83 yards rushing. He had 1 touchdown on the I'm sorry, he had one touchdown receiving. He had none on the ground, but he had 4 receptions. And he had 6 targets for a total of 73 yards. So I like him. I really don't like his price point. I'm not sure how much I'm going to be playing him. I may fade him. I think he's going to be a popular pick this week. So I'm going to check out a couple more running backs that I like. First one I want to look at is I really like Christian McCaffrey. Against Cincinnati, he had 184 yards on the ground. He had 2 receptions, and he had 0 touchdowns in that game. And he still got you 24 DraftKings points. His target rate out of the backfield was pretty low against that defense. If you look at the other 2 weeks, he would have 15 targets and 9 targets. So I look for McCaffrey to get more targets this week against the Giants. And I really like him in this position. And it saves you $1,400 if you come off of Todd Gurley. Next running back I like is David Johnson going up against the San Francisco defense. He hasn't really produced a whole lot this year, but he's getting you 17, 16, 19. Against Seattle, he had 71 yards rushing, 41 yards receiving. He had 1 touchdown on the ground. He's 6,300. It's one of the lowest price points he's had since the 2016 season. So look for him to put up some points at 6,300. He's only got to get you 19 points, and he's 3 times his value. So we still have a couple more places to go. I want to look at tight end first. I really like Travis Kelce. I want to stack him with Patrick Mahomes. Against Denver, he had 12 targets for 78 yards and 1 touchdown. And if you watch that game, he actually had trouble starting out the game. I think he dropped the first 4 or 5 passes that were thrown his way. Second half, he really picked it up. That's when he scored his touchdown. He actually had another touchdown called back, I believe. So if you look at what he did, he had 20 DraftKings points. If that other touchdown would have been called back, he would have potentially got you almost 30 points last week. So Mahomes has been targeting him a lot lately. I wouldn't say his favorite target, but he does like targeting his tight end. So I'm going to stack him with Mahomes, and hopefully, this stack pays off again this week. Next one I'm going to go to, we'll go with the defense. If you look at the Rams, they're 3,800. It's a little pricey for a defense. But I also like the Ravens at 2,800. The game log, they're getting 6 points, and against Buffalo they got you 17 points. So a total of 7 points throughout the season. They're going up against a Cleveland offense with a rookie quarterback. He played Oakland last week as a starting quarterback. Oakland's defense isn't the greatest. I look for the Ravens to put pressure on Baker Mayfield, and I believe it'll turn into turnovers, and they'll score you 3 times your points with this defense. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in the Ravens for my defense. That leaves you with 5,100 to finish out your lineup. I'm going to give you a couple of receivers that I like. I'm going to give you a couple of value picks that I like. First value pick I like is Keelan Cole going up against this Kansas City defense. He hasn't really produced much in the last 2 weeks, but week 2 against New England, he had 27 DraftKings points. He had 8 targets, 116 yards. This Kansas City defense has holes in it. It's pretty easy to move the ball on these guys. So I really like Keelan Cole as a value pick here. Another one I like, I can find him, is Tyler Boyd. He's really picked up the last 2 weeks. Against Atlanta, he had 100 yards receiving, no touchdowns. But he had 15 targets. He got 24 DraftKings points. I really like this matchup against Miami. I think his targets will stay the same or roughly in the area of 15. In the last 2 weeks, he's got 100 yards receiving. So look for his productivity to stay the same. He's one of those guys that he just finds the holes in the defense, and Andy Dalton finds them. So I look for maybe a broken play for him to score, or down in the red zone. Andy Dalton find him in the back of the end zone. So Tyler Boyd is another, I wouldn't say a value pick, but a receiver that I like. And then for my flex, I actually want to go with a running back. So T. Coleman for Atlanta, he's probably not going to get the reps that he did the last 2 weeks. Freeman's back. Freeman's at 6,500. I don't know if I really want to pay up for him. He's a guy I like though. He played week 1 against Philly. He got 8 DraftKings points, but he's going up against this Pittsburgh defense that I really like the matchup against. I look for him to get some targets out of the backfield and get this rushing game going. Another one I like is Kareem Hunt. Look what he did against Denver last week. He had 121 yards on the ground, and he had 4 targets for 54 yards. He got almost 30 DraftKings points. So I'm going to go ahead and put him in my roster. And that leaves me with 4,300 to find a value pick at wide receiver. I don't mind Callaway. 4,400. He's getting you 2 times your value. Like I said, he's going up against Ravens with Baker Mayfield, rookie quarterback, his second game starting. I look for them to put pressure on Mayfield. So I could see Callaway getting some targets. Last week, Baker Mayfield targeted him 9 times. So I could see him getting roughly the same amount or in that area. So here's my lineup. One of my lineups that I like. There's a couple value picks. I know I had a gentleman comment last week on one of my videos that he would like to see a value pick. So here's a couple of value picks I like. Wide receiver wise, there's not a whole lot that really sticks out to me as far as where I'd want to put all my money. Brown hasn't really produced a whole lot fantasy wise. Julio Jones has been injured. He hasn't really produced. Odell Beckham, he's been so-so this year. Keenan Allen's been shut out. I really do like it. Thielen though, he's produced. Adams is questionable, which in Green Bay is kind of a frustrating situation right now. Smith-Schuster, not a bad idea. He's going up against Atlanta. Cooks, they have 3 receivers in that lineup, so you really don't know who's going to get the targets. AJ Green, he's going up against Miami. Really don't like that matchup, so I'm going to be putting my money more into running backs this week.